Alright guys, Bitcoin just hit a major level a few hours ago and got rejected hard. Broke out of this pattern to the downside and our short is now in a very decent profit. And Bitcoin has some crucial levels sitting just slightly below. Let me show you exactly what's going on. So in yesterday's video we talked about this major support area that we said Bitcoin will likely hit but also needs to hold it if it doesn't want to see a bigger rejection. And look at what happened. We talked about the daily level and the CME gap as the major targets and also the major support for Bitcoin. And Bitcoin came down and hit it almost to the exact dollar. Look at this right here. And I said I would be longing there in case Bitcoin goes higher once again because of some levels that it still had to the upside, but with a very tight stop loss just below the support, because if it breaks below, it is going much lower. And that is exactly what I did. And Bitcoin did get a bounce from there. But let me show you what happened next. If we take the fib retracement and drag it from the high to the low, what you will see is that Bitcoin pushed up and hit the golden pocket exactly to the dollar. I'm not even kidding, look at this right here. And from that level, Bitcoin got rejected straight back to the downside. And not only did it get rejected, it actually broke below the daily level that was holding as support. And on top of that, Bitcoin also broke down from this symmetrical triangle that it was trading in, which is definitely another bearish sign for Bitcoin in the short term. And full transparency, I did get stopped out of my long right here. And thank God I did, because as I said, if it breaks below that level, it is going much lower. And that also means our short that we entered multiple videos ago and already made risk-free is now printing. And let's right now open up the Bitcoin CME futures chart. And as you can see, yes, our very recent CME gap was filled. But there is actually another one from the week before at around $77,850 that was almost filled on this week right here, but not just yet. So definitely, as you know, that is some kind of a magnet for the price sitting below. And let me also pull up the liquidation heat map first on the 1 week chart. And what you can see is that there is not really a lot of liquidations building to the upside, even though Bitcoin just saw a big rejection. And that is definitely not a bullish indication for Bitcoin. And if we zoom out to the 2 week chart, you'll see the same thing. Again, not many new liquidations stacking to the upside. But there is actually a large liquidation cluster sitting below the current price at around 77.5 to 77.7 thousand $, where more than 300 million in longs would get liquidated. And that aligns very well with the unfilled CME gap that we just talked about. So yes, definitely another slightly more bearish indication for Bitcoin. So as you probably guessed, I do think Bitcoin could go even lower from here, especially with other crucial levels that align with the CME gap and the liquidations to the downside. And before I tell you exactly what those levels are and where Bitcoin is likely to bounce, I would really appreciate it if you guys are finding this helpful to like the video, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Alright, let's get back to the video. Now let's look at the levels that have a high probability of getting swept and where a lot of people will get stopped out of their trades or even liquidated. The first most obvious ones are these two liquidity levels right here at approximately 78.1 thousand $, and another one just slightly below at 78,000 $. But I do think these two levels aren't very significant ones and Bitcoin likely won't see a real reaction there. Nevertheless, they do attract price and they will definitely get swept on the way down. But the more major one is this liquidity level right here at 77.7 thousand $. And let me tell you why. First of all, let's take the fib retracement and drag it from the swing low to the swing high. And what you'll see is that this liquidity level falls right at the golden pocket. So if Bitcoin sweeps that level, it will also hit the golden pocket and on top of that fill the CME gap at 77.8 thousand $, that we just talked about. And not only that, if we also look one more time at the liquidation heat map, you'll see that right at this level there is the biggest liquidation cluster on the entire chart, from 77.7 to 77.5 thousand $, with more than 300 million in long liquidations. So we have the liquidity level, the golden pocket, the CME gap and the biggest liquidation cluster all sitting at the same area. That is definitely a huge target and a huge support zone for Bitcoin where it could definitely see a bounce. And that is exactly where I would be taking even more profits on my short. And one more thing I really want to mention right now. Let's zoom out. As you know, Bitcoin is still trading in this ascending channel that it's been in for the past 3 months. And we talked about this multiple times throughout the videos. And as we said in the previous video, Bitcoin recently got rejected again from the top of the channel. And if we zoom out even further to the 3-day chart and open up the MACD, what you will see is that Bitcoin made a lower high on price while the MACD made a higher high, and that is a hidden bearish divergence. And the last time this happened right here when Bitcoin was also trading in an ascending channel, lower high on the price, higher high on the MACD, right at the top of the channel, Bitcoin saw a huge retracement to the downside right after. So definitely a bearish indication for Bitcoin on the higher time frames and something to keep in mind here. So that's where we are. Short printing, daily level broken, and the golden pocket, CME gap, liquidity, and 300 million in liquidations, all pointing to the same area below. As always, this is not financial advice and manage your risk. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.